my friend. I'm the low rider. The low rider is a little higher.
Hello again, everybody. I'm Tripp, and another edition of Tripp's Corner is coming up with our very special guest, Charles Ashley III, as he's affectionately known around the Proview studios. Sir Charles, coming up on Tripp's Corner.
Hey everyone, Adam Deal here with Proview Networks. Extreme Clean is a proud sponsor and supporter of Proview Networks and all high school sports athletics. Owner Mike McLean and Extreme Clean specialize in carpet cleaning for apartment, realty, business, and residential clients. With over 20 years experience, attention to detail and quality customer service matters. For more information, give them a call, 505-221-6440, Extreme Clean.
And welcome back, everybody, to another edition of Tripp's Corner. As we said, we're very, very honored to be joined with us today, Charles Ashley III, as he is affectionately known around the Proview studios as Sir Charles. Charles, welcome to the show, man. Welcome to Tripp's Corner. Good to see you again.
It's good to be back. It's been, 3-4 years since I've been on camera.
You haven't changed a bit.
Yeah, right. It's called age, but thank you. I'm happy to be back, and I'm glad that you reached out and invited me to come in and catch up.
You know, Charles, one of the things I love about doing this show is, you and I were kind of talking about this, is we really get to know our guests from a different perspective, other than your great talents back at the day at Adams State, which we'll get to. You know, when you were, co-hosting with Adam Deal, what you guys are doing earlier on Proview Networks, your coaching, background over at Bosque and whatnot. But we always like to start at the beginning. Growing up back in the days, back in the Midwest of Chicago, man, that must have been pretty good.
It was. I grew up poor South Side Chicago kid, but of course, a Bulls fan. I had the privilege of growing up when we were very good. I was there till about 11, 12, and then we moved to the West Coast, out to Las Vegas, Nevada. Then I some way became a Lakers fan because I started watching Magic Johnson, and I'm a fan of passing and team play, so Magic really stood out to me. So it was different back then, Richard, because you didn't have cable to watch whatever game. So wherever you live, that's what you had to watch. You had to watch the Lakers or the Suns. So that was a little bit of my journey.
So, you kind of look back at those days kind of growing up, you're very athletic at the time, At the time. we all lose a step or two along the way, or some of us do. But, tell us about, some of those sports, some of those things that you did back then, and, whether it was Chicago or back in Vegas.
Well, so, of course, Chicago kid, you had to play basketball. I don't think you even had a choice. So basketball was my first true sport, but I'm actually a football guy. I love football. I used to love playing it even in middle school and high school. We didn't have much money, so I did a lot of playground ball. From playground ball to when you get, you get to a certain age, and if you're good enough, coaches find a way to get you on those traveling teams. So around high school, my mom would say, "Oh wow, it's funny that you get to play in all these AAU things now. Where are you getting the money from?" I don't know. They just signed me up, so I'm playing. But I love all sports, to be honest. Right now, we're coaching our girls in volleyball, my daughters, so that's been awesome. 3 of them, and my wife coaches. So I'm from a sports family dating back to my days and all the way up to now.
When you look about those days, like you said, went from Chicago to Las Vegas, Nevada. A little bit of a culture shock type of thing, or not really? How old were you about that time?
Culture shock, Richard. So growing up where I was at, I had never even interacted with anyone but a black person, right? So moved to Vegas, we moved into an all-Mexican neighborhood. So it was my first interaction with anything outside of the black community. And then I went to a school where it was predominantly white. So when I say culture shock, you went from extreme poverty, some violence, some struggles, to a place where it was growing, it was booming at the time, interacting with people from all walks of life, which I like to tell people, that was probably the greatest thing that my mom ever did, was move us from Chicago to Vegas, because it allowed us to grow as people, right? So culture shock was a good thing.
just kind of looking back again, which one you miss most? Which one did you kind of like look back and say, I wish I would have, or I wish I would have stayed here longer?
Oh, no. I love Vegas, Nevada. I love it. I'm a Vegas kid. Chicago, I love it because I still got family there. But if you've ever experienced a winter in Chicago, Richard, I'm not sure you're going to miss that.
No.
But the summers are awesome. I go back and I visit primarily for business now, but Vegas, Nevada's home. My mom's there, my brother, my sister, some friends who I consider family. So that's a place I miss.
You know, being, of course, playing out in Las Vegas, Nevada, you know, the great talent of Charles Ashley III.
Yeah, right.
You know, I got to kind of go back a little bit and talk about that name, Charles Ashley III, because I think it's really cool that you emphasize the third. I think that's pretty cool, though.
It's funny because when I was younger, I didn't value my name as much as I probably should have. But then as you grow up and you learn more about your family history, you learn more about being an adult, being a man, you realize like how much pride goes into names, right? So I really stress the third because, hey, my grandfather and my father and my mother, whatever, put a lot of time and effort into growing us as people and individuals. So that's something that I value, and I want people to know, like, hey, I am the third. There were two others before me, but I am, I'm proud of that third now, that three.
Not junior.
No,
not junior.
Not junior. The third. It's three of us floating around here.
You know, so when you were playing high school,
Yes.
was that the introduction?
It was no, because like I said, I didn't value it as much. So now, so if I played now, I would definitely be Charles Ashley III. But high school was just, introducing Charles Ashley, and just went out there. And I wasn't much in the introductions, Richard. I just wanted to get out there and play, man. I didn't really care.
And again, when you play out in a community like Las Vegas, Nevada, obviously the weather favors you, of course, year round. Yeah. And then the opportunities. I mean, Chicago's a great place for those opportunities, whether it's travel ball, AA, you call it what you will. But out in Vegas, you have a lot of these great summertime showcases, I guess you can say, which occur out there. So that must have been pretty fun too.
It was. So I graduated. I'm dating myself right now, but that's life. So I graduated in 1998. Okay. At that time, this is when like AAU was really hitting its stride. So Vegas had a lot of winter classics. They had a lot of summer leagues. And I give stories of, I remember the time when we played against Tracy McGrady's team, and he knew that he was better, much, much better than us. So he spent the entire second half shooting half-court three-pointers on us, and he made about half of them. I remember we played against Kevin Garnett. So we had some good runs in Vegas. That was the best part about Vegas, that we were the hub of all these summer tournaments. So I had the privilege of playing against some amazing players being in Vegas. So that's probably the greatest memory growing up in basketball, is that we played against guys that I can point to the TV and say, oh, I played against that guy. I played against that guy or that guy. So it was good times.
I don't think you're dating yourself too much, but yeah, when you throw out those types of names, because there's something special, like you said, about being on the court, with these guys. You look at the TV now, like you're saying, wow. Did you guard him?
Yes.
Did you have the opportunity?
I had the opportunity to guard McGrady. The greatest story, and I would tell this in coaching. I was a freshman playing varsity, and we went to Arizona, and we were playing against Shadow Mountain. I want to say it's Shadow Mountain, but it was Mike Bibby. So Mike Bibby, I think he was a junior at the time. Everyone knew who he was. Right. So I'm tasked with guarding Mike Bibby, and he promptly lit me up for about 47 points. And I consider myself a really good defender, but it was a learning experience. But it was stuff that, you get to talk to these younger players and say, hey, you take the challenge, you don't back down. I'll tell you that. We never back down. I never backed down. So it was fun. It was good stuff.
Of course, Mike Bibby goes on to have a great career over at USC, and and all these other things, and you land up at Adams State.
By way of Northeastern Junior College, because I sat out a year to help my mom. She was going through some things. Sat out, turned down some really good offers, but I think family first.
Right.
Sat out a year, and then a guy connected me with Northeastern. And the crazy thing about it, roundabout way, the guy who ended up recruiting me from Northeastern was Brian Joyce. He played at La Cueva back in the day. So I had an Albuquerque connection before I actually moved here to Albuquerque. And then after that, Northeastern Junior College, ended up at Adams State, which is, as you know, one of the coldest places in America. So talk about, that's culture shock, right?
Very much.
Weather shock.
Weather shock. You know, Charles, I hate to interrupt. We're going to break right there. Segment 2 is coming up. We're going to find out more about Charles Ashley III when we come back, about his adventures at Adams State and therefore. When we come back, segment 2 coming up on Tripp's Corner.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of Proview Sports Network.
And welcome back to segment 2 of Tripp's Corner. We're joined by, of course, Charles Ashley III, who's prominently known as Sir Charles, and I hate to keep bringing that up, but it is what it is around here in the Proview studios. You know, Charles, talking about some of those legendary players you had the opportunity to play against, you know, back in, you know, the AAU days, you know, but, you know, I want, you know, we talked about a little bit during the break. There are some athletes that you played against, maybe that didn't go on for whatever reasons, that were pretty good too.
Absolutely. There are players that we played in AAU. I've played some players in junior college who I tell people all the time, the best players I've probably ever played against in my life. There's a school at Western Nebraska. They had 4 or 5 guys on that team that could play probably anywhere in the United States. We played some teams out in Kansas, Hutch, Kansas, Dodge City, you name it, world-class players. And so getting into coaching, it was easy to tell a lot of the younger players that talent is one thing, but there's a lot of aspects that being an athlete that you have to keep progressing. And if you don't have those qualities or those characteristics or those traits, it's tough for you to keep advancing. And talent is not, talent alone won't get you there. So, and I've seen it firsthand.
Yeah. You know, so what was your driving force? I mean, now you graduate high school, you're on to college ball now, you know, before we get to the Adams State story, you know, but what was your driving force for you personally? Mine,
to be honest, you know, I grew up, and it's documented because I talk about it all the time. I embrace my history. I grew up poor, a mom that worked 2 jobs. She busted her butt for us. I valued any free time that we were able to get that was sports, even academics, because I felt that was a way out of that generational poverty that we had. And my driving thing really was just, I wanted to do better. I wanted to take advantage of the opportunity that our mom had given us. So I didn't want to let her down. So my drive has always been not let my mother down, right? And then it transferred to not let myself down, because that should be your driving factor in anything, is self. Like, your inner drive is everything. So if you can keep yourself motivated, I think everything else take care of itself.
You know, that's one of the things we'll get to when we talk about in segment 3, what you are doing actually today to kind of help that and kind of share with that, you know. But let's move on now. Of course, like you said, you know, you went from, I guess, junior college, you know, to Adams State. How did that come about? And my story is probably not as traditional as most, right? I went to Northeastern, which was a powerhouse JUCO. I played against some guys who ended up Tony Skinner was my roommate. He ended up at Gonzaga. We were recruiting Mark Walters, but he ended up going to UNM and having a great career with the Lobos. We had
Ben Ellsworth, who played in Santa Fe, was at Adams State. So you had this New Mexico connection already. By the time I got to Adams State, I had a little bit of not trouble, but I was a strong and stubborn kid, and there's some things I just didn't agree with as far as like coaching. So I got my year in and I was done, but I ended up doing other things at Adams State and graduating. But it's a story that I tell my players, or back in the day I would tell players, is that you have decisions in life, right. and some you might not agree with things, you might agree with them, but at the end of the day, every choice, every decision you make has a consequence. And I told people I knew my consequence. Like, I knew that I was done hooping, and what was next for me, I knew it would probably entail me going into business for myself or helping others build something. So you
got the right degree for it, obviously. That's one thing Adams State, or you got from Adams.
Great place. I still talk about it now. I graduated from there. I have great friends that came from out of there. I have a great family that came from out of Adams State. Mm-hmm. I think the tagline for Adams State is where great stories begin, and it's the truth. I had a great mentor. I had two great mentors come from Adams State. One was Dr. Dick Jacobs, an amazing man. Another one is my buddy named Jeremy Capo. He's an AD over at Western Iowa, I believe. So that is just a journey, as you were talking about, the journey of my life. And I just was talking about this at a conference. Life is about a journey. It's almost like a road trip. You kind of just going along the path. There's exits, there's entrances, but at the end of the day, you're trying to get to an end destination. And right now, I think I'm hopefully just in the middle of that road trip. But I've learned some great lessons along the way.
And I think that's the most valuable lesson, like you always say about that journey, is what you learn along the way. That's going to make you better as a person. I want to kind of, this is a little bit of off track, but so you go from Chicago, Illinois, where the winters are below zero, to Las Vegas, Nevada, where the winters are in the 70s, back to Adams State, where the winters are below zero, only in a smaller environment. And Adams State, we were talking about this before we came on, it's one of those unique universities, if anybody's ever been up to Alamosa. It's very community oriented. Mm-hmm. Man, talk about a community or a university where the community buys in. And you see that whether it's in the facilities or just the people. It's a pretty nice place.
It's an amazing place. I was, playing a year. I still was very close with a lot of the guys that I came in balling with. So I watched Coach Larry Mortensen build a great program from coaching. Now he's the AD. Coach Mortensen has done a phenomenal job bringing in quality coaches for the basketball program. The football facilities are amazing. The team, I think it's a little down year, but they always compete. It's a community that they come out and they support. The basketball games had a good attendance. The volleyball games had a great attendance. My wife's volleyball games were heavily attended. She had a great career at Adams State as a setter there. And the football games were always well attended. It's something to be said about those little communities. And that's a great conference. I remember talking to kids getting recruited, and they would say, but it's D2. And I would say, the RMAC's a tough conference. This is not just you're going to go into Division II and dominate. And you see a lot of these kids get that culture shock. They go and they realize, wait a minute, the only thing separating that guy from playing at maybe Auburn or somewhere is, okay, he's 6'4", but if he was 6'6", he might be at Auburn. Right?
Right.
Because he has the talent.
Right.
But it's a great community, and we were talking off camera. I think we have some places like that I would love to see emulate that, like Highlands, where I know the community is very supportive, but I think if we can find a way to put more money into those facilities and the institutions, you can see Highlands do the same thing that the Fort Lewis's and the Adams States are doing.
Well, I know Craig Snow, the AD, wouldn't mind that coming his way, man. I'll tell you that.
Snow, he owes me for that plug.
Yeah, and I have the opportunity to work for Craig Snow up at Highlands, so I'm sure he'd be even double thank you. We're coming down on our last minute here of segment 2 because I want to get to the highlight, of Charles Ashley III and what he's up to today, man. But God, if you can just kind of finish up with, what was the most valuable lesson probably you got to this point? Probably ask you the same question later on, but what's it been so far?
Honestly, the most valuable lesson that I learned is that sometimes you hear that you have to go through perseverance and you have to go through struggle and you have to keep stay positive and find something deeper in you to get past that barrier. That's what I've learned. There was moments in college where I didn't do 100%. I did 86%, but I wanted 100% outcome, right? So that's what I've learned. I learned that in college, and I apply it to life and business right now, where I'm not going to give 86% and expect 100. I'm going to give 100 and expect to get all 100 of that percent. So that's the lesson I've learned.
We're going to talk about his coaching days when we come back. Segment 3 of Tripp's Corner is coming up with Charles Ashley III after this break.
Sadie's is a proud supporter of New Mexico high school sports and athletics, and we here at Proview Networks would like to thank Sadie's for their continued support in helping us bring you all of your New Mexico high school sports coverage.
Welcome back to segment 3 of Tripp's Corner. We're very honored to be joined by Charles Ashley III. And now, Charles, we're at that point of your life or career, if you will. We from the days of Chicago, Las Vegas, Nevada, all the way up to Adams State. But now we get into a different part of your life, coaching. When you're here in Albuquerque now, of all places, man, you kind of did a lot of traveling to get here, but tell us about those early coaching days.
A lot of coaching, a lot of traveling, excuse me. So love basketball, love football. I always knew that I wanted to pass on whatever I learned in my journey, and it was an easy transition because my wife's father coached at Albuquerque High, Coach Garcia. He asked me to come and help out with the coaching, and I did. So I was there 7-8 years coaching under Coach Ron and learning some great things, having some great players come through the door from the Twins all the way to Crosdale to Malik Sims and to Martin Romero. I can go on. So it was a great experience for the reason. When I first started with Coach Garcia, we had a very young but talented team. I still remember talking to the kids. They were down on themselves. I think we finished 3-21, and I would always tell them, remember what it feels like now. So in year 3 and 4, you can pay it back. Right. So it was a lot of coaching up and keeping their confidence there. But it was cool seeing kids as babies grow, and in their senior year you see this young man who was ready to go out there and take what was his now. They had earned it. So that's what I love about coaching, is seeing the process of everything. Good stuff. And then I was fortunate enough to get the job over at Bosque School. My first head coaching job, I was there 2 years. Unfortunately, our company started growing, and I was traveling, and I was going into year 3, and as a coach, you tell your players what? You be on time, you show up, you be committed. And remember, I just told you, if you don't do it 100%, if I did it 86% for those kids at Bosque, I wouldn't have felt right. And so I had to step down. But it was another process that I was excited about because we had a very young team over at Bosque where we were losing, but we were starting with 8th graders and 9th graders. And I would tell them, guys, remember this feeling because in year 3 and 4, or some of the kids, year 5, they've been with the program 5 years, you're going to see it. And this year, I'm excited. Coach Davison is over at Bosque right now. It was the staff that I brought in. The guys are doing an amazing job. And I'm excited to see what they do this year because I think everyone's going to see what I was seeing over there for those 2 years. You're going to see it come to fruition. So
I yourself as a visionary there a little bit.
I miss it. No, I believe in investment, right? Invest early. You invest in something, and that's like with the kids. Running a sports program is investing, right? You know that they're young, so you're teaching more than just X's and O's. You're teaching a young person how to be responsible, to learn how to take responsibility for their actions, to be accountable, to be a good, not just a good student, a great student. So it's so many life lessons in sports, which has actually prepared me to run my own business, which is going into year 4. So I'm excited. It's been a blessing. That's the best way I can describe it.
And I do want to talk about your business because Cultivating Coders is what it's entitled. And a few months ago, a nice journal article came out on it. You've been busy with this, and I want to give this thing a little bit of time that we can talk about because I've been doing some research, reading up. I read the articles and whatnot, but this, I really got to hand it to this company for what it's doing for the youth.
I've always felt that the only barrier to most lower income, overlooked communities usually is access, right? So with Cultivating Coders, we decided, okay, technology is where the world is at, not going, it's where the world is at.
Right.
Why not create a program where you can be in these communities and teach young kids how to code? So we teach kids basic HTML, like these little cell phones that we have. We teach them basic stuff all the way up to how to build mobile apps and websites and servers and all that nerdy stuff. But to me, it's just an access to an opportunity. If they get good at it, then they can go on and do other things. They don't have to be a programmer, but it exposes them to this world which is so massive, but at our fingertips. And it's a free summer camp. Kids ages 11 to 18, every kid gets a laptop, and we go travel out. So we've been to Shiprock High School. It's a great school up there. We've been out at Gallup. We've been to Espanola, did kids with Espanola High. All the places that we play in the hoops,
Right.
I feel like we've gone out to. Next summer, we're going to be in the Los Lunas area down there for the Tigers and the other schools, like School of Dreams Academy. So it's been an awesome ride because, yeah, I don't get to coach basketball, but I get to coach something that's probably more valuable: education, technology. We teach them how to be entrepreneurs and how to read contracts, and it's rewarding, and it's something that's much needed. So it's been a good ride for us.
And
like I said, blessed.
And of course, with social media, as we know it, sky's the limit. We have no idea
Yes.
where this thing is going to go. I mean, it probably hasn't even been scratched right now where you can take this thing.
No, it's at the infancy. Tech is at the very infancy. We've grown a program. It's homegrown. We're New Mexico based. We want to build up New Mexico. We want people to say, in 2020, look at the map, like, what happened in New Mexico 5 or 6 years ago? That's the goal of this program. We have the privilege of speaking at the White House. I had the privilege of having dinner with the Obama family out in Chicago for their first ever summit. We've had countless articles, but that's the flashy stuff and smoke and all
Right.
that and all
Bells
that
and whistles,
Yeah,
as they
bells and
say.
whistles, right? But when you get down to it, what we're doing is just amazing. Especially our team. I have an amazing team that they get out there and they do the job, and they make us look good. And I'm grateful for having a good team. That's why I said sports to me has been invaluable, because it's really what I use to run a company. Is that everyone puts in effort, 100%. And when we win, we all win. When we lose, we all lose. So hopefully we don't lose. I don't want to lose.
No, you don't. But in talking about it, we have maybe a minute and a half left here. So I like to ask this question as we go through this. I mean, along with this program, which I was actually reading one of the articles earlier where a young lady actually built a website for her mother, a Mexican mother's restaurant, I believe it was.
Absolutely.
I mean, just that. So there is some coaching here. But we talk about the journey, which is what this is all about, you, the show, and everything else. You kind of mentioned a little bit about what you've learned so far on this journey. And like we always say, the final chapter has not been written yet.
No.
But where's this going? Kind of close us up with that. Where do you kind of envision this? Where's it going?
It's another entrance along my journey on this road, this highway. I don't know where it's going to end, but I know everything that I've been doing the last 11 years has been for the benefit of our community, New Mexico. I love the state. This is home. I know I said I missed Las Vegas, Nevada, but this is home, and I want to see this state live up to all its potential, like we see with our kids when we coach. Invest in our state, invest in our kids, and the investment will pay off. Let's take our bumps and bruises now as a state and a city. But in 2-3 years, we want to win. That's the goal, right? We want to win. So I'm trying to win on the journey, and I want us to win as a state. So that's what I'm here for.
And for Charles Ashley III, the person, where's this journey going? What do you think?
To just build a name for my family, right? To continue on the path of not letting my mother down, but not letting myself down, but now being a father and a husband and not letting my family down. And I keep saying it, and not letting us stay down. I think we all have a duty to give back, whether it's coaching, like you. I applaud you for being in coaching as many years as you have. I mean, you're always got a pulse on the community. Steve Davis for doing an awesome job with Proview. Adam, real deal, even though he's a diva at time, giving back, loving the kids, and all the coaches out there. We're a vital part of the community, and we have your kids 6-7 hours a week, and so it's just in investing and giving back to the state.
Well, that's going to do it. Hey, Charles, I want to thank you,
Richard,
man.
thank you.
It's been awesome. Check it out online, Cultivating Coders. Google it, find it. It's a great program. I want to thank Charles for coming on Tripp's Corner. Man, what an awesome show. Until next week, everybody. Peace. I'm out.